Welcome to B1 Lesson 17, where we're going to be looking at active and passive voices now deeper, with a deeper understanding. Active voices and passive voices. What is voice in English? Voice shows who or what is more important in a sentence. They highlight who or what is more important in a sentence. Active voice, they focus on a person who does the action. Passive voice focus on the action or the results. Simply, I repeat that active voice, we are focusing on the person who is doing the action, and then the passive, we are focusing on the action or the results. Or I can say we are focusing on the object. One is focusing on the subject, another one is focusing on the object. And using active voice or using passive voice, both are correct. They just depend on the meaning and purpose, what you mean and your purpose. Let's see active voice first. In active voice, the doer comes first. The person doing the action comes first in active voice. That's the original structure of the sentence: subject, verb, object. The company released a new product. The police arrested the suspect. The students completed the test. The doer is clear and important. The person doing the action is clear and important. I hope you understand that. When the doer is clear and important, that's when we use the active voice. Like the company released the new product, the police arrested the suspect, the student completed the test. How about the passive voice? In passive voice, the subject receives the action. We are looking the first as active. In active, the subject does the action, but in passive, the subject receives the action. We have subject, verb to be, V3, which is the past participle. The lesson is explained by the teacher. A new school was built. Emails are written every day. Here the focus is on the action, or the focus is on the results. We are trying to be more objective. Let's see passive voice more explained. As I said that the action or result comes first, and I said that subject BV3, like a new project was released, the suspect was arrested, the test was completed. The doer is not the focus. The focus is the action or the results. That's what I was trying to explain in the previous slide. Why do we use active voice? We use active voice when we know who does the action, when the doer is very important to mention, and in that case the sentence needs to be direct and clear. The sentence needs to be direct and clear. I can say the manager approved the request. The scientists discovered a new species. In this case, active voice is common in speaking and storytelling. We like to use active voice in storytelling and in speaking. That's when you use subject as the person who's doing the action. And why do we use passive voice? We use passive voice when the doer is unknown, the doer is obvious, and the action or result is more important than the person doing that action. When the doer is unknown, we don't know the person who is doing the action. When the doer is obvious, everyone can tell that this is the person who did the thing. When the action or result is more important, in that case, we use the passive voice. The documents were lost. English is spoken worldwide. The road was repaired last night. The passive voice is common in news. in the reports and notices. When you are making a notice, when you are reporting, when you're telling news, the best voice to use is passive voice. When you will hear a reporter when it's on a television or a radio saying that the road was repaired last night, that's a passive voice being used. Means like he or she is trying to be more objective, focusing on the action or the result, other than focusing on the person doing the action. Let's see passive voice without by, without using by. In many sentences, in many passive sentences, by plus doer is not needed. In most of the sentences, passive sentences, by agent is not needed. The window was broken, the rules were changed, the message was delivered. The listener cares about what happened, not who did it. What happened? The window was broken. What happened? The rules were changed. What happened? The message was delivered. I don't care who did it. All I care about is the passive voice by with the using by agent. When we talk about the passive voice using by agent, use by only when the doer adds important information. When to add by will make it more understandable or will add more importance to it, that's when we use by. The novel was written by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. In that case, it is important to know the information of the person who wrote the novel. The bridge was designed by a local engineer. We used this because it was adding important information to that. When say a local engineer, to say that how amazing, how fantastic we could have such engineers who are talented. Wow, who are geniuses. Do not use by if the doer is obvious or it is not important. If the person does not add any importance to the sentence, don't use by. Just stay without by. How do we change the focus? Let's look at this. The chief, the chef. The chef prepared the meal. The meal was prepared. It is just the same action, but with a different focus. The first one is focusing on the person. The second one is focusing on the object, on the result or the action. That's something you need to understand, that in active you are trying to be more subjective, and in passive we try to be more objective. And how do we transform? The the object of the active tense, the object of the active voice becomes the subject of the passive voice. After making it the subject, you add verb to be, then you add V3. Let's fill in the blanks here. The report dash dash yesterday, the teacher dash dash the rules clearly, the tickets dash dash online, the company dash dash a new app, the classroom dash dash every evening. You're going to choose the correct active or the passive form based on what you have here. Let's fill in the blanks also. You're going to complete the sentence with the correct voice. The meeting dash dash this morning, they dash dash the school in 2012, the email dash dash already, the manager dash dash the request, the house dash dash last month. Let's fill in the blanks. Someone dash dash my wallet, the rule dash dash last year, They dash dash this film in Kenya. The documents dash dash yesterday. The police dash dash the suspect. So you're going to write it by choosing the correct form, either to be the active voice form or either to be the passive voice form, just depending on what you see that you have to fit as the appropriate thing. Let's fill in the blanks using active or passive. The result dash dash tomorrow. The results dash dash tomorrow. The students dash dash the exam early. The website dash dash regularly. The chef dash dash the dish carefully. The road dash dash due to repairs. Remember, you could have it as the passive. You can have it as a present passive. Could also have it as a past passive, and you could also have it as a future passive. So you just have to choose what's the best. That. Let's do the quiz. Choose the correct form to complete each sentence. The project dash dash on time. They dash dash the event last week. The message dash dash this morning. The company just dash dash new stuff. The tickets dash dash already. You're going to fill in with the right appropriate answer and the appropriate voice to be used. Ciao, ciao.